Today we are going to determine which version of Shao Kahn is the most formidable. Not the one that I personally like the most, but the one that is best in a fight and the one who is best to achieve his goals. And it's most likely not the version that you're thinking of.
I win.
Shao Kahn has always been the man. But with 3 different timelines in the games and multiple other incarnations, we have to decide which version of him is the best. The Shao Kahn from the upcoming Mortal Kombat 2 movie looks amazing. The casting is on point, the suit is on point. We still have to see how it turns out, but from what it looks like it's going to be an amazing performance. But because we haven't seen the movie yet, at the time of recording this, the movie isn't out. So because of that, we are going to be excluding this version of Shao Kahn from our list. Right from the get-go, let's go over some versions that we know are not the best. Mortal Kombat Annihilation has to be near the bottom of the barrel, if not the bottom. This movie establishes that Shao Kahn and Raiden are brothers, and their father is Shinnok. Though he's one of the worst looking Shao Kahns, costume-wise, he does get some work done at the beginning of the film. However, we find out that Shao Kahn is a petulant child with daddy issues, copying what his father says line for line, bar for bar.
Tell me, did you make Raiden beg for his life before destroying him?
Tell me, did you make them beg for their lives before you destroyed them?
As well as outright finishing his own subordinates, which essentially kind of leads to his own downfall. This Shao Kahn is just rubbish. The Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat Legacy, not the look I would have gone for, though I'd admit that if the costume were to look similar to Annihilation, I think I'd rather this look instead. Shao in Legacy doesn't really do anything wrong, he just doesn't really do anything right. He doesn't do anything cool, and of course, because he doesn't look like Shao Kahn, that alone puts him near the bottom as well. We also have the most recent version of the character, General Shao. This is in the 3rd video game timeline designed by Liu Kang. In a move that is as smart as it is petty, Liu Kang makes sure that Shao is born with birth defects that made him a sickly child.
I remember the weak, sickly boy you were. How your father fought to push you past your infirmities. Now you repay him by spitting on his ideals? Your revolt shreds every value he held dear.
Decreased his affinity for magic, and instead of being a conqueror, he serves the ruler of Outworld. But despite all of these handicaps, through his strong sense of nationalism and sheer determination, he built himself up to be a great fighter and a leader of the Outworld army.
But now you must face General Shao. Victor of the Tavarian War, conqueror of the Kwatan Plains, defender of the Navala Coast. As has his family for generations, General Shao defends us with zeal and tenacity. All of Outworld is grateful for his service.
That's a notable list of accomplishments, General.
It is a mere fraction of them. A full recitation would take days.
This Shao has giant horns and sports an axe instead of his signature warhammer, which I found to be an odd choice. Clearly, General Shao needs high ceilings and door frames because it's like he was literally built to need wealth, because this is not a man living in a 2-bedroom apartment with small door frames. I may find it weird, but I don't think it's weird enough to be the worst Shao, but he's nowhere near the best either.
You may go.
We also have Shao Kahn from the animated movie Battle of the Realms. Now, this Shao Kahn knows how to fight. This is the Shao Kahn that can take a beating and give it right back to you. This is the Shao Kahn that's gonna stomp a mud hole in you and walk it dry. This is the Shao Kahn that is an absolute beast. Now, growing up, I really liked old kung fu movies like the 36th Chamber of the Shaolin, and Master of the Flying Guillotine, the original Mortal Kombat seemed to be heavily inspired by influences like these old movies, which really made me fall in love with the franchise. Though I love things like Dragon Ball Z, I don't really feel like that kind of fighting translates perfectly to Mortal Kombat, and I feel that that's what they were going for with Battle of the Realms. Taking Mortal Kombat characters and having them fight like Dragon Ball characters, it's my bias, I get it, but because of that, I can't give this Shao the top spot. And I mean, he does ultimately fall and get beat up, but despite that, I can't in good faith give this Shao Kahn the top spot. Then there's Shao Kahn from the game's first timeline. This is from Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. This is the classic Shao Kahn. At first, I didn't really get this character. As I said, I really loved old Kung Fu movies, much like Ed Boon and John Tobias really got into Big Trouble in Little China. So did I. Absolutely love that movie, and Shang Tsung is partially inspired by that movie's antagonist, Lo Pan. And Lo Pan was an extremely powerful character. Shang Tsung was bossing around Goro in the first game, and he's basically Lo Pan, so to me, he was the top of the food chain. So when I saw Shang bowing to someone else, I was like, nah. Nah. But as I found out more about Shao Kahn, I understood why. Shao Kahn was powerful in this game, and him insulting the character, and by proxy, insulting the player playing against him, oddly made him more charismatic.
You will never win.
The thing that this version of Shao Kahn does that trumps pretty much all others is the fact that he stripped the Earth of all of its souls except for Raiden's champions. The ability to do that puts this Shao on a planetary threat level. We've seen him go on to cheat to overthrow Onaga. We've seen him become one with Darkseid from the DC universe. We've seen him race up to the Temple of Argus. But in my opinion, nothing will top him robbing an entire planet of their souls. Even with that, though, even with all of that, I think that the Shao Kahn from the first timeline, the classic Shao, isn't the best version of him. The Shao Kahn from the second timeline is from everything after the very beginning of Mortal Kombat 9. Now, this Shao isn't much different from the original timeline Shao Kahn. The changes that Raiden made to the timeline didn't really affect Shao Kahn. A few small differences did take place, like Motaro dying to Raiden, but for the most part, this is the same guy from the original timeline. However, they shed more light onto his character. So while we saw some good things, like how resilient he is by getting ran through and not succumbing to death, and you know what I mean by ran through, stop being nasty. We're talking about video games. While there were these great feats for Shao Kahn, there were also some things that kind of took away from his mystique. So for example, we see that he doesn't just Thanos snap to take all of the souls on Earth. Instead, it's actually a ritual that Quan Chi performs. When Raiden realized this was happening, he sent Nightwolf to successfully prevent it from taking place.
This is Sub-Zero.
I have encountered Quan Chi. He seems to be casting a spell.
Raiden, what is it? What did you see?
One of Shao Kahn's soulnados on a scale I thought unimaginable. All of Earthrealm's souls imprisoned, absorbed by Shao Kahn, multiplying his power.
Nightwolf. It is done. Earthrealm souls are safe.
Yes, this is done by Shao Kahn's command, but it seems stripping Earth of all his souls wasn't done by Shao Kahn's hand. And like I said, this is the same Shao Kahn from the original timeline, essentially, so he's just as powerful as original timeline Shao. So one can assume that if this Shao from MK9 wasn't able to just snap and take all the souls from Earth, then that's probably the case with the original timeline Shao Kahn as well, which is why I couldn't really give him the top spot. The one thing the second timeline Shao Kahn has over the original from MK2 and MK3 is the fact that this is the only incarnation of Shao Kahn that defeats Liu Kang in a fight. Every other version, despite how cool they may be or how many special powers they may possess, whatever the case may be, they all get whooped by some Shaolin monk. And all of them, except for this version of Shao Kahn from the second timeline, specifically from Mortal Kombat 11, this is the only version of Shao Kahn that straight up defeats Liu Kang in a fight. And just for that, he's gotta be higher than the original timeline Shao Kahn, at least in my eyes. A lot of people criticize this version of Shao because he lost a fight to Kitana. And I think only people who haven't been in a lot of actual fights or haven't done a lot of competitive things thinks this way. If you're entering some sort of competition, the odds of you winning or losing is very rarely 100%. I always use the example of Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas. Now, for those young whippersnappers out there that didn't grow up in the 90s, just to let you know, on paper, Buster Douglas should be destroyed by Mike Tyson. This was the height of Mike Tyson's career, where he was called Iron Mike Tyson, and he was knocking out everyone before people could get drunk during a fight. This was prime Mike Tyson. And Buster Douglas was a far less impressive boxer. But on that particular night, in that particular fight, Buster Douglas actually beat Mike Tyson and became world heavyweight champion. Now, the odds of Buster beating Mike Tyson might have been 10%, or maybe it might have been 5%. I don't know. But that was Buster Douglas's night. Just like Kitana's odds of beating Shao Kahn isn't 0%. I don't know if it's 10% to beat Shao or 5% or 1%, but she does have a chance of beating Shao Kahn. Every character on the roster has a chance of beating Shao Kahn. Now, if we're talking about some 12-year-old little girl, I would say she has a 0% chance of beating Shao Kahn, but all of the Mortal Kombat characters that you can select, if they're on a character select screen, they're master fighters, including Kitana. So Shao Kahn losing to Kitana, I feel doesn't really hurt his credibility. Yes, he did lose a fight to Kitana, but he did the one thing no other version of Shao Kahn was able to do. I think actually to this point, no other character was shown on screen to have been able to do, which is defeat Liu Kang in a legitimate fight. Though this is the only version that beat Liu Kang in a fight, like I said, a feat that no one else can claim, I still feel that there is another version that is better. And that version is from the Defenders of the Realm cartoon. Obviously, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, as Zaffy would say. Don't leave. I think the best version of Shao Kahn is actually from the television show Mortal Kombat Conquest. To be fair, this version of Shao Kahn doesn't really get into a lot of fights, not as much as the other versions of Shao, but this is the only version of Shao Kahn that actually wins in the end. Nobody foils his plans. There's no restarting the timeline. There's no one to come at the last minute to defeat him. Shao Kahn just wins. Now, the last episode was going to be revealed to be a dream sequence of what could happen if Kung Lao doesn't prevent it. However, the show was canceled before that second season could be aired and reveal that this was actually a dream sequence. So, the series ends with all the good guys dead and Shao Kahn gloating, essentially mocking them.
2 sorcerers?
Dead.
A daughter? Dead. A bodyguard? Dead. A thief? Dead. A champion? Dead.
One could surmise that perhaps in this timeline the next tournament still takes place and Liu Kang is in attendance, and then he goes on to defeat Shao Kahn, but we'll never know. Based on the story that we have of Mortal Kombat Conquest, Shao Kahn just defeats everyone and wins, which makes him, at least in my opinion, the very best version of Shao Kahn. Am I tripping? Is there another version of Shao that is even better than this, or did I miss something about one of the other versions? Let me know in the comments. If you made it this far, you can
Acknowledge me!
by hitting the like button. This helps videos like this get to viewers like you, and it is very much appreciated. You can hit confirm that by hitting the subscribe button to join
Literally millions!
of ShinFit subscribers. If you want the lowdown on the first 2 episodes of Mortal Kombat Conquest, that video is on screen now. But more importantly than everything else, don't get beat up out there.